Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Let's take a look at the field for race number 7 at Aqueduct on Saturday. It's the $100,000 Gravesend Stakes for sprinters. There's a 90% chance of rain in New York on Saturday. That could turn this race topsy-turvy. Matt, I really think that the question for this race that handicappers have to answer is, what did you think of the fall high weight? If you liked it, you're taking one of those horses. If you don't like it, you're going to get nice prices with some new faces.
Yeah, it's such a tough thing to answer just because, you know, I'm wishy-washy. I look at the stretch run and I go, I don't think anybody was really spectacular in there. But at the same time, just from a figure standpoint, I mean, that is the race that you would have just assumed that the winner is likely to come out of, or at least one of the horses that's going to be competitive.
DRF Bet sponsors our stakes previews this weekend, and if you sign up right now to DRF Bets, you'll be able to access a $200 free bet. No deposit required. DRF.com/join is where you need to go, and use the promo code FREEBET09. The morning line favorite from the Chad Brown barn. That's the number 7, 3-5 India. He finished ahead of 3 of these common horses in the fall high weight. I liked him that day. I think he really lost his race at the start. He was pinballed a bit. He was a little bit far back. He had to use himself to get into position. Other than that, the trip was just fine. He split horses in upper stretch. He had a big chance, and just a better horse, Stall Walking Dude, the favorite, ran him down late. It was a solid performance, but this is a horse that may not be the most trustworthy in the world. In a wet track, he's not proven on it.
Yeah, he's 0 for 2 thus far. It's not like he's run terribly on wet tracks in the past. It's just one of those things where, second off the bench, you would assume he's going to take a step forward. In many ways, he's the horse to beat in here. The problem is, for a horse that he just doesn't seem like at this level he's ever proven that this is actually what he is. He always kind of feels like a non-winner as a 3 or some sort of an allowance kind of type. I think he's a very logical contender in here. I would be using him in any sort of a multi just because I don't want to get beat by him. But I just, at a short price, I find it very difficult to trust him.
Fans of 3-5 India might be heartened by this Timeform US pace projector. Although our friends at Timeform US believe, with that blue bar, that this pace will be slow and favor horses on the lead, you'll notice that the 7, 3-5 India is sitting in third. And if you have questions about the 4 and the 8, there's a chance that 3-5 India attacks those two, gets the jump on the closers, and finally gets that elusive win. Let's talk about the horses ahead of him on the pace. Beginning with the number 4, Chief Lion, who went gate to wire last time out in the Fabulous Strike. But A, that race was marred by the breakdown of the favorite, and B, it came back very slow.
Yeah, it came back very slow, 83 buyer. This is a horse that does not want 6 furlongs, which sounds just incredible. He wants to go 5, 5.5. He might be a perfect horse for Charlestown, going 4.5. The thing about Penn National that night, and this was a night card under the lights, you needed to be relatively close during the early stages of that card anyway, probably the first 4 or 5 races. And I think that's the only reason that Chief Lion was able to get there, because guess what? Favorite Tail, who looked like he was beat at the half-mile pole, was still almost there and almost got to him. This horse doesn't want 6 furlongs, and more I think about it, I think he is in there to be a rabbit to ensure that there's pace for the other Jacobson.
Green Grotto, the hearty New Jersey bred, he's earned $1.1 million in his career. I think you could make the argument that the closure of the inner track affects him more than any other horse based in New York. He just seemed to skip over the inner dirt. He's pretty good on the main track as well. He upset the Carter handicap going 7 furlongs. Do you think he's lost a little bit of zip off the fastball? The old Green Grotto, you would have thought, could have at least made Chief Lion's work early.
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought he had lost something last year. So, I mean, I still maintain the longer we go, the more he's going to lose off the fastball. He took advantage of circumstances in the Carter. I'm not going to begrudge him for that. It was a great ride from Chris DiCarlo. The interesting thing now is going to be to see, does he still have it in him? Can he put away a horse like Chief Lion if he's fast enough to go? It depends how fast Chief Lion goes. And if he puts him away, can he hold off the horses coming from the back? I don't think at this point in his career he can, unless there's some sort of wild thing that happens with the racetrack and it's tilted towards speed. It's also worth noting he's 0 for 10 lifetime in a wet track.
Let's switch gears quickly and talk about some of the horses that did not run in the fall highway, beginning with the number 2, Do Share. Do Share's last 2 dirt races have resulted with wins, buyers of 96 and 94. He likes Aqueduct, and he has Linda Rice in his corner. Let's cue that formulator fact. Over the past 3 years, with Linda, last out winners going second off the bench in dirt sprints, she wins at a remarkable 42% rate with almost a $3.50 ROI.
It's really incredible. I was this close to picking this horse. I picked him second. I think he's got a giant chance in here. I didn't like how late he was with the lead change in that most recent start, and maybe on paper it doesn't look sexy. He only won by a neck. You watch the replay. He was all out to beat Angry Moon, who was 10-1 that day. But I have to be honest, I kind of like that. I like the fact that he had to dig and he had to get something out of it. That was his first start since July. I think with Linda, he takes a step forward based on that formulator fact. I think he's got a giant chance in here. 4 for 5 in the money, 2 for 5 on a wet track. I think he's got a big chance.
8-1 for Dushare. Junior Alvarado has the mount. Another horse with a positive formulator fact is the number 5, Gold for the King, who might very well be an Aqueduct horse for course. He is a perfect 3 for 3 at the Big A. And while he beat restricted company last time out, mostly New York breds in the Stallion Series, I thought it was the best we've seen Gold for the King, who just shot on through along the inside and lengthened away to win by open lengths. Clue the formulator fact for trainer Charlie Baker. Over the past 3 years, with last out winners making the 3rd start off the layoff in dirt sprints, Baker's winning 48% with a $4 ROI. The last race was kind of slow, but this horse has some ability.
There's something to be said about a horse that all they do when they show up and just run is win, particularly at an individual racetrack. I think this could be one of those instances where he may get lost in the shuffle. Maybe he goes off at 8, 9, 10-1, just simply because on paper it doesn't look like he's fast enough. Don't ever discount horses that all they do is win at certain surfaces. I think immediately to Santa Anita going down the hill. Certain horses, I don't care if they're a little bit slow on paper. If all they do is win, that's this horse right here, Gold for the King at Aqueduct. He loves this racetrack. The distance isn't a problem. He's 5 for 5 in the exacta, 3 for 5 as far as the distance is concerned with wins. I think he's got a big chance.
Another new face to this division in New York is the number 1, the Truth or Else, who is no stranger to traveling. He went from Kentucky to South Korea and back in his last 3 races. He was in against an okay horse, Limousine Liberal, over his racetrack, Limousine Liberals at Churchill Downs last time out. This horse, if you give him pace, you know he's going to come running. A, I like him better at 6.5 or 7 furlongs than 6. B, the pace projector doesn't think there's going to be a lot of gas for the Truth or Else. He might be really up against it from a race flow standpoint.
Yeah, if they don't go fast early on, he's way up against it. I just have such a hard time with these sprinters at 6 furlongs that are going to be coming confirmed 10, 12 lengths out of it. He's a nice horse. He shows up with his run. To me, he's best used underneath.
Life in Shambles. I have to admit, I'm a little bit tired of Life in Shambles act, but you could make the argument that Steve Asmussen has gotten him back in pretty good form. A 96 buyer win, a confidence-boosting win against optional claimers 2 starts back, and then an okay 3rd in the fall high weight. He's got a little bit of tactical speed.
Yeah, I don't think he's totally out of it. I don't love him either, but I think he's one of those horses that, you know, you could throw a blanket over a number of them in this spot. I think they're all going to take up a similar sort of position on the track. I don't think he's totally without a chance.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Gravesend Stakes. Matt, David Jacobson with his uncoupled entry. It's going to be sort of like if the left doesn't get you, the right will. He's got a horse that's going to occupy the front in Chief Lion, and if Chief Lion falters, maybe he'll at least set a legitimate pace for Great Stuff. Well, trouble last time out in the fall highway.
Yeah, I thought he was moving pretty well. In Rajiv, there was nothing he could do. He was down on the inside, and it got a little bit tight. 3-5 India was drifting over a little bit, and this horse had to come back a little bit. I don't know that this distance is ideal. I think probably 7/8 would be his preferred sort of situation, but there's a part of me that looks at it and says, Chief Lion is owned by Jacobson. Jacobson has a piece of great stuff. Chief Lion, I think everybody knows he doesn't want to go this far. He's not, for some reason. He just can't.
Especially if he takes heat.
If he takes heat early on, I think he's only in here to ensure that there's some gas up front. So the pace projector, I agree that those 2 horses are going to be the ones out there. I think they're going to throw it down.
It'll be an honest to fast pace.
And I think that's going to play into the hooves of a horse like this. Great Stuff.
7-2 on the morning line for the 6. Great Stuff. Matt's going to go 6-2, 7-5. 3-5 India, I just chase him. I like him a little bit. I just think this is kind of the spot, the make or break race. If he can't do it here, even with a wet track, I might be done with him, but 2-1 is not an appetizing price. I think he gets through this. I go 7-3, 2-6 in the $100,000 Gravesend Stakes, one of 2 stakes races at Aqueduct on Saturday. If you're playing that card from home, once again, when you sign up to DRF Bets, you'll access a $200 free bet, no deposit required. Please head on over to drf.com/join and utilize the promo code FREEBET09. Approximate post time for race number 7 at the Big A on Saturday. The Gravesend, 3:17 Eastern. Good luck.